We all dreamed about cheap analog polyphonic synthesizer back in the day. Back in 2007 when the prices were too high and digital ruled the world, and then Korg made a move, presenting Minilogue, and it was a shock to all of us. Analog polyphony for half a grand? It can't be real. Endorphins kicked in. Honeymoon phase was upon us. It's ticking all the boxes, all the knobs and coders, etc., etc. We got ARP, some noisy delay, and a 16-step sequencer. And we have a huge knob for a filter. Your first desire is to tweak it hard, right? This is where the honeymoon ends prematurely. Filter is horrible. One move and your volume is gone. It's even worse than a Moog filter, which was never that good, no matter what Moog nerd says. In fact, if you want filter to work properly, you have to manipulate too many knobs to get there, including LFO and second VCO attack. Also, you need to spend some time in the menu, but using filter as is a bad idea. I don't know how Korg managed to mess this simplest idea that bad when we know for a fact how good Electribe filter is, or how good their own MS-20 filter is. It's not even about the price, since MS-20 filter can be found in dirt cheap Volca keys. It's a poor creative choice. But the filter is just a part of the problem. Now we're gonna talk about the unavoidable sacrifices in cheap analog gear. Cheap analog sound is becoming a phenomena of today. Yeah, it's not DCO, it's fully analog, but when you listen to good analog voices like Doppler A1114 Quad VCO, you know how good analog is. Full rich sound with transparency to it. Affordable analog synths, on the other hand, always have dirtiness to it, almost a buzz. Think of Uno, GDXI, Microfreak, Moog Messenger, Sequential Form, and many others. Cheap analog synthesizers have weak VCOs and CPUs, correcting the sound on the fly, thus making it digital-ish. And you can actually hear it, can you? Well, mono sounds bad and metallic, and a super saw is metallic too. good VCO is always full and transparent at the same time. Minilogue and others are always muddy and have this aliasing undertones to it. No wonder when Minilogue have more CPUs than VCOs. In fact, Minilogue have more CPUs than fully digital microKorg. I would prefer a DCO option for the sole reason of tuning stability, because while having this digital metallic sound, Minilogue is always out of tune. Always. You tune it, but in 5 minutes it's out of tune again. I was not able to finish any live stream without having to tune it every 5 minutes, so you get bad tuning and digital sound in one package. Worst of both worlds. I was not able to update my Minilogue because of well-known bug between Korg's drivers and Windows. Korg or Microsoft ignored the problem. Nobody cared. This is huge no-no in my book. Analog synthesizer depending on drivers for Windows? Screw you, buddy. This is not what analog gear is for. Okay. Now let's try to make anything out of it without using millions of reverb pedals like other people did. Turned out this synthesizer made for sound design and not performing. Create a preset. Don't tweak it after that. Use it for music gig or recording. That's the use case. Once you're done with the sound you want to make, don't touch anything. It will only get worse. The immediacy is not there. This killed all the buzz for me. It's not a performance synth even though there's so many knobs. You gotta be very careful when performing live. Watch me on stream carefully moving the knobs, cause every wrong move would lead to a disaster. It's just one of the studio synthesizers, you know? The one that people uses rarely, just once for a certain line in a certain song, and then they move it back on a shelf. Another use case is crazy tweaking, you know, experimental, avant-garde, or its 40 BPM sibling called ambient. But we are all tired of that, right? Minilogue, it's not what you think it is. You buy analog poly to have chords and fat analog leads and basically forced into movie soundtrack type of music, even Steve Reich territory. Is it good or bad? I guess it's just different. All Minilogue needed was 64-step sequencer with per-step motion and more digital effects with easy controls like Korg's own electripes, because it could have been innovative sound design hybrid synth wiping the floor with micro freaks and going into some DSI territory. They made XD version, sure, but the thing is that XD kinda admitted that modern Korg cannot produce good poly analog synthesizer, and Prologue series cemented that. They just can't. So it's not about the price after all. Minilogue sounds this way not because of affordability, but because it is that kind of a synthesizer. Good or bad, it's up to you. Not for me obviously, but it's the same with any gear. People love Electron stuff. I hate it with a passion. I love Electribe MX, but most of the people don't give a damn. My favorite synthesizer is universally hated, a King Korg OG. And millions of people use cheesy Vaden Yamahas, and they are happy about it. Before the final jam, let's try to make a lemon juice out of this lemon. You see, I made some not bad sounds on it, but the thing is, I never liked single one of them. Too metallic, too digital. To my ear, none of that is pure analog, and sound is too harsh. I bet my bottom dollar every Hydra synth in existence can recreate this sound easily. Anyway, let's jam. Minilogue is a good synth and a marketing success for many. Remember the Salami Electribe? It was not perfect, but there were no cheap alternatives. So Korg enjoyed sales because it was the only game in town. The same is true here. The fact is that there is still no competition for Korg products. Does anyone know of analog poly 4500s? Not made by Behringer these days. There are some options here and there, such as Dreadbox and Unos, but show me a casual synthesist who would choose those over Korg. Perhaps Godin guitars are just as good as the cheapest Les Pauls, maybe. But if you want your child to smile, buy a Les Paul guitar. Imagine your child's sad face the next day at school if you bought a good Godin guitar instead of a Gibson. The same goes here. Korg have a brand name, and they have successfully used it as a weapon in a marketing battle. And they won big time by crushing their competitors in style. Yours truly, on the other hand, couldn't care less about marketing. My health is pretty bad, but my hearing is still intact. Each synthesizer I own has at least one that sound which makes me keep it. Minilogue, on the contrary, doesn't have any such sound. And believe me, I tried. To me, Minilogue has always been bland and always will be. Just like my English. See you next time.